James Barfield with Your Urban Connection. And today, the jury in the Kim Potter trial and the killing of one Duante Wright, the jury has reached a verdict, and the verdict is guilty of first-degree manslaughter and guilty of second-degree manslaughter. Now, these guilty verdicts come as a surprise to many, and I might say even myself, because I certainly was led to believe that this would end in a hung jury. And that was based on the question that was sent to the judge by the jury a couple of days ago, in which they asked the judge, what would they do if they could not reach a verdict? In other words, these verdicts have to be unanimous for a guilty verdict or unanimous for a not guilty. Other than that, you look at a mistrial or a hung jury. And so that was what I expected in this particular case. But I'm happy to say that this jury, which consisted of nine whites, 2 Asians, and 1 Black, found in their continued deliberations sufficient evidence to render a guilty verdict on 2 counts. Now, upon hearing these charges, I was really, really shocked that this lady, Kim Potter, who's shared fake crying with no tears during her time on the witness stand, today, upon hearing 2 guilty verdicts against her, did not attempt to shed one single tear, knowing full well that this verdict meant she was going to prison. So this just shows, as it did in the Arbery trial, when Travis tried to fake cry and show no tears, hey, these defense attorneys are telling these people to show some emotions and shed some tears. Hey, that's just not going to work. Not when there's clear evidence that you are guilty of killing an unarmed Black man, unjustifiably so, and thinking that you can shed some tears or attempt to shed some tears and get the sympathy of jurors. In this case, it didn't work. Now, after being found guilty, the defense attorney for Ms. Potter asked the judge to release Ms. Potter on a $100,000 bail, saying in fact that she had had no prior arrest. She never pulled a gun in her 26 years on the force other than this incident. And he wanted her released on bail until a sentencing trial. Well, the prosecutor stated that no, she should be remanded to jail immediately because of the fact that she no longer even resided in the state of Minnesota. Now you'll remember this incident occurred in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So the prosecutor stated that, hey, she should not be released on $100,000 bail or any other bail because she is basically a flight risk. And those are not his words, those are my words. When he's stating that she no longer lives in the state of Minnesota, he is indicating that she has a potential to be a flight risk. Now, upon hearing both motions from the prosecution and the defense, the judge, to her credit, stated that she could not treat this case any differently than she would any other case. The fact that Ms. Potter was an ex-police officer had no bearing on how she would treat the defendant who's been proven guilty. So she was remanded to jail immediately, and she will stay there until sometime in mid to late February, when she will have her sentencing trial. Okay, well, not trial, but her sentence will be handed down. And it appears to me that from most of the experts in these types of criminal matters, she could look to serve anywhere from 7 to 15 years behind bars for what she considered, and she tried, and her attorneys tried to convince the jury was a simple mistake that anybody could have made. Well, it's pretty difficult to convince somebody that after 26 years on a police force, you don't know the difference between a gun and a taser. I'm sorry, they didn't buy that. I'm sorry, they didn't buy that. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, we did have today justice prevail. The emotions and the fake tears, and fake sobbing did not sway, it appears, any of the jurors enough to vote for a hung trial, hung trial or a mistrial in this case. So once again, we have justice in the case of the police shooting of an unarmed Black man that has gone on for far too long in this country. And the police officers have gotten away with it. And in many cases, because of the immunity clause that they have, hey, we have to look at the fact that these jurors are waking up. They're waking up to say, hey, look, we've got to look at the evidence and where the evidence comes in. And clearly, as in was this case, you have to convict, ladies and gentlemen. You know, you just cannot continue to ignore and say, oh, hey, she was a police officer. And so the person had to be doing something wrong. No, they were not. And once again, we see they don't, if you're Black, you don't have to be doing anything wrong. It's just the fact that you're Black. So once again, in the state of Minnesota, in 2 consecutive cases now, we've seen justice prevail. And so hopefully this will send a clear signal to law enforcement officers all across this country that the days of shooting an unarmed, innocent Black man just because you feel you could get away with it, those days are over. You will have to start being a professional, stop using excessive force, stop using your gun, killing people when it's unnecessary. You've got to learn how to de-escalate a situation and not escalate it to your satisfaction. So that's the good news, and we hope that it will continue. But first of all, we hope that the shooting and the killing of unarmed Black men in this country will come to a halt. I'm James Barfield with Your Urban Connection.